It's 2021, and it's election season here in the Commonwealth of Virginia. That's right. This year, we'll be electing our statewide officers for governor, lieutenant governor, and attorney general, and all the houses of delegate here in the Commonwealth. But also, we have local races on the ballot. It's Save the Water. I'm your host, Dr. Eric Claville, and we'll be right back as we delve into our election overview, Hampton Roads. Welcome back. It's State of the Water. I'm your host, Dr. Eric Claville. We want to thank you so much again for joining us here every Sunday at 1 p.m. as we broadcast here from the new sound of Hot 91, the soul of VA, on the campus of the Norfolk State University, home of the Spartan Nation. We're so happy and elated to be able to be just associated with such a phenomenal institution, and not just an institution, but the alums, the students, the faculty, the stakeholders. There's nothing like the Spartan Nation. So, last week, week before last, we had a week of wonderful events where we celebrated the investiture inauguration of our seventh president, Dr. Javon Adams Gaston, who, the governor calls a jewel here for the Commonwealth. And she's hit the ground running and is doing great things. And we're here behind her vision 1,000% to move NSU forward into the future, because this is our moment, this is our time, our mission, and our vision. Also, I mentioned earlier, if you heard the intro, the new sound of Hot 91, the soul of VA. That's right. Right now, WNSB is now the soul of VA. So go ahead and go download us on our TuneIn app and put in Hot 91. We're here, same station, same great staff, new direction, phenomenal sound. It is the soul of VA. Also, I just want to once again encourage everyone to ensure that you're doing everything that you can to protect yourselves, your family, and your health, and everyone else's. We're turning the corner on this pandemic, and we want to make sure that everyone is protected, everyone understands what's at stake, and you're doing everything that you can under the direction of your physician and medical professionals, and to do what you can to protect yourselves and everyone else, because we not only will get through this, but we're getting through this together. So we've got here our producer, Marvin Folks, who's here with us. And we just had an amazing conversation before the show about the election. It's election season. And this is, to me, one of the most favorite times of the year. And I love being here in the Commonwealth, because what happens is that every year there is a very important election. And that stands true today as well. Now, what we have on November 2nd in this year, we will elect our statewide officers, our governor, our lieutenant governor, our attorney general, and all houses of House of Delegates are up for election or re-election for those who are currently holding office. So the great thing about Virginia is that it comes right after the presidential election. And right after the presidential election, we were looking at Virginia, and the country's looking at Virginia as the test for issues that are out there, the test for the current presidential administration, the test for the current power in charge, and also the test for the party that's out of power. So we have all these things going on, and the Commonwealth is the leader of that as a snapshot to the rest of the country to see what the midterm elections are going to be in 2022. And also the presidential election of 2024. Now, listen, I don't have to tell you what's at stake. I don't have to tell you what we've been through in the last 5 years. You see it. You live through it. We're better together coming out of it, but where will we go from here? So that's the question. But you can participate in that answer by going out and voting. That's right, exercising your right to vote. So in exercising our right to vote, again, the general election is November 2nd, 2021. You can go into your polling station, go into the registrar's office, go into wherever you go vote usually and cast your vote that day. Or if you would like, early voting has started. That's right. You can now go. It started Friday, September 17th. First day of early voting. You can vote early all the way up to Saturday, October 30th at 5 p.m. You can go into your local voter registration office in the city of Norfolk, Portsmouth, Chesapeake, Suffolk, Virginia Beach, Newport News, Hampton, Williamsburg, Richmond, wherever you're listening from. You can go into your local voter registration office, cast your vote, and you're done. If you've made up your mind, you can solidify your voice in this democracy. Just go in. It's just that simple. Now, if you don't want to go in, what you can do is you can also register to vote. I want to make sure you understand that. You can register to vote up to October 12th. That's right. Up to October 12th, you can register to vote. Go in and make sure that you are on the voter rolls. Now, if you don't want to go in to vote, you can apply for a mail-in ballot. The deadline for the mail-in ballot to apply for is October 22nd. You can request one and receive one at your voter registration office by 5 p.m. And you can send it in. All right? You can send it in. Now, let's just say you can't make it during the week. Well, your voter registration offices are open Saturday, October 23rd, and Saturday, October 30th. Let me tell you, where many other states, Marvin, are limiting access to the ballot box, like Georgia, where it's illegal now to give somebody a bottle of water or food in the line standing. Yeah, exactly. Or even where we see the limiting of voting and restricted voter ID laws in North Carolina that's been struck down again by a local judge last week. Or we see what's happening in Texas, what's happening in Florida, and other states throughout the Commonwealth. We did a series on a tale of two states, Georgia and Virginia, two former confederacies, to see where we're going in access to voting and where the Georgia is going in restricting access to voting. We've also looked at in the statistics from the Brennan Center where it showed as of June 2021, we had July, the latest work, over 400, almost 500 pieces of legislation limiting the access to the ballot box in state legislatures. Some have already passed, and some are still working their way through committee hearings and the like. Likewise, we've had double that number, or almost 800 pieces of legislation introduced in the state legislatures in order to increase access to the ballot box. What's the difference there? What's the difference? The difference is we have more states that are looking to limit access and fewer states looking to give greater access. So therefore, the larger number of bills that are introduced and will be passed in legislatures increasing access to the voter box will be in smaller amount of states. More bills, more laws on the books to increase access, but fewer states that are adopting them. Fewer bills, but more states adopting, restricting access to the voter box. So there you have it. We got to look at the math on this. Now, one great thing about the Commonwealth of Virginia is that I said president almost. Maybe he will be president. Who knows? But Governor Ralph Northam ceremoniously signed the Virginia Voter Registration Act in Newport News, where Delegate Price and also Senator McClellan were the co-sponsors of those bills, both in the House and in the Senate, and signed that, opening up, providing more access to the ballot box. And this is the reason why, what I've just stated. the polling stations open up longer, the ability to register to vote, the ability to have a mail-in ballot, the ability to go in and vote on a Saturday, the ability to make sure that your voice is heard and counted. That is giving more opportunities for our democracy. And that's what Virginia has done when we talk about access to the ballot box. So again, you can go to elections.virginia.gov. It's the Virginia Department of Elections, and look at the upcoming general election. And if you don't know where to go vote, just simply go to the Virginia Department of Elections website, and it will tell you, put in your address, and it'll tell you exactly where you can go vote, where you can go register. And if you need a mail-in ballot, you can get one from them as well. So again, that's elections.virginia.gov. You can also learn about the candidates as well, meaning you can learn and secure information where you can find more information about them, such as their websites. But last week, we talked about and we went over the statewide candidates, and we talked about not just who they were and who's running, but we looked at their platform, and we talked about issues that they are that they're going to have to deal with here in the Commonwealth, and issues that the voters want them to also deal with. So what we're going to do today is that we're looking at the local elections. That's right, the local elections. And in looking at the local elections, we deem this just as important, if not more important, because all politics is local. Now, you're not going to see your governor every day going to the grocery store. You're not going to see your statewide elected officials, statewide office doing a lot of things in the community because they're doing official work. But guess what you see? You see your local sheriff, your local city council person. That's right, Marvin. You see your local school board members. You see your department, your treasurer. You see your commissioner of revenue. You see all these individuals who have to run for election on a daily basis. And guess what? They're accountable not to the state electorate, but they're accountable to you in the community. That's right. These are the people that go to the same grocery stores, go to the same schools, go to the same dry cleaners, go to the same parks and recreation. Children play on the same basketball teams or opposing basketball teams, right? So that's the phenomenal thing about it, because now we get a chance to see and have more input in our government itself, our government. So we're in the first half hour, we're going to start to take a look at what races are up here in the Southampton Roads area. We're going to look at all those races that are up and individuals who are running, both opposed and unopposed. And then in the second half hour, we're going to talk about those issues, and we're going to look at several races and see exactly what's really at stake. We're going to delve a little deeper into the platforms of some individuals who are running in these various elections. With that being the case, we want to hear from you. We want to hear what you think about this issue. So give us a call. We're here in the studio, 757-823-9110, 757-823-9110, or you can go to our social media at WNSBonline.org. That's at WNSBonline.org. Send us a tweet. Go to our Instagram. Go to our Facebook. Let us know what you're thinking. And we want to hear your voice. So without further ado, let's take a look at the races that are up here in Southampton Roads, where your local voice can be heard. Let's take a look at the city of Norfolk. In the city of Norfolk, we have city council races for Super Ward 7. Now, Super Ward 7, of course, we know that this race is one to replace the former city council person who became the delegate for this particular area after the former delegate was appointed as a judge. So with this, Super Ward 7 currently has a NSU alum who is serving as city councilwoman, the Honorable Danica Royster, who is serving in that capacity, and the unexpired term. But now, this particular race, this seat is open to a full race. So with that, we have approximately 7. That's right, 7. Actually 6. I take that back. We have 6 individuals who are running for this seat. And running for this seat, we have Jackie Hope Glass, Philip Hawkins Jr., Jason Inga, Frederick McRae, Michael Muhammad, and again, the Honorable Danica Royster, who's currently serving in that capacity. So that's for city council. And we're going to take a look first at the races by their offices. So as we look at the races by their offices, that means we'll look at Norfolk, we'll probably look at Portsmouth, we'll look at Suffolk by office. And then in the second half hour, we'll delve and take a look at Norfolk. So the other city council race that we have as a special election is Edward Brown in the city of Portsmouth. That's right. In the city of Portsmouth, he is running for that seat and running unopposed. For Commissioner of Revenue in the city of Chesapeake, running unopposed is Don Ashby Quick. Running in the city of Virginia Beach, unopposed is the Honorable Philip J. Kellum, who's been serving that capacity over 2 decades. Yeah, I think he's probably the longest serving, definitely in this particular area, if not the Commonwealth. And then also in the city of Norfolk, we have Nicole K. Sanders and the Honorable Blight Scott, who are running for that seat for Commissioner of Revenue. And also what we'll do, we'll take a look at, what do those positions actually do. Also here in South Hampton Roads, we have the Commonwealth's Attorney's offices. Now, the Commonwealth's Attorney's office, they're running unopposed as well. Now, I do know that the candidate for Commonwealth's Attorney ran in a primary here in Norfolk. That's Raman Fadahi. And of course, we had them on the show. And then we did a community forum for the candidates for the nomination of the Democratic candidate for this particular election. So, in essence, by winning the nomination for that party, he by default becomes the candidate. And if he's running unopposed, if he gets one vote, nobody's a write-in, gets any votes, he becomes the Commonwealth's attorney. And that's the case for all individuals who are running opposed. And we'll talk more about that, probably not here, but, is that a good thing that we have candidates who are running unopposed? We have a lot of candidates in the House elections that we looked at last week who are running unopposed. And I guess it boils down, Marvin, to if you're a great candidate and you're doing the things for your community, that's the type of person that a community wants to keep. But at the same time, if you're not doing what you're supposed to do and you're running unopposed, then is that the type of candidate that you want to keep? And then I guess when you take a look at the third reason here, or the third question, is even if you're doing a great job or you're not doing a good job, being able to have different ideas and be challenged, is that a good thing? A champ is always a good champ when they're being challenged. That's right. Open-mindedness, to what's out there. Because there are a lot of things that I see because I'm in my bubble and I able to take a look at various things from my viewpoint. But there are things that you see, Marvin, that I don't have privy to. And then you see it from your point of view. So that adds to what we're doing. But we're talking about political theory here. We're talking about, we're talking about all these things of how the theory becomes applicable in everyday action. But we're gonna get to the rest of these candidates because that's a show by itself. But again, here we have the Commonwealth's attorneys. Both are running unopposed. In Chesapeake, we have Paul Hedges. And then, of course, in Norfolk, we have Raman Fadahi. And then also for school board. In school board, we have a special election in Portsmouth where we have Melvin Cotton Jr., who's running, and also in Suffolk, the Sleepy Hole Borough, we have Ebony Wright, who is running. And then for sheriff in the city of Norfolk, we have the Honorable Joe Barron. Now, the Honorable Joe Barron has been sheriff for a long time. And I've had an opportunity, and I've had an opportunity to talk with these candidates and actually moderate a forum for these candidates that I'm referring to now. And I'll give you the information to where you can hear more about it and learn more about them. But, we're talking about candidates who give out their personal cell phone numbers, to citizens in the city in order to contact them. And that's how personable that they are. In the city of Portsmouth, we have the Honorable Michael Moore, who is also running for sheriff. We also have for treasurer. Now, for treasurer, there is a bit more of a challenge that's there. Now, in the city of Norfolk, we have the Honorable Dunn Hester, who is running for treasurer unopposed. Now, Dunn Hester is an institution in this area. She's been in the House of Delegates. She's been in statewide office, local office. So she's really, really served and given her life to public service in many different areas. And that's she's not just a candidate, but again, someone that's been doing the job in public service. Also in the city of Chesapeake and Virginia Beach, there is a challenger. So currently the Honorable Barbara Caraway is treasurer in the city of Chesapeake. But we also have Corey Cring, who is also challenging this particular candidate who's in that seat right now. In the city of Virginia Beach, we have the Honorable Lee Henderson, who's currently the treasurer in the city of Virginia Beach. And we also have her challenger, Lori Halber, who is challenging her for that particular seat. Now, again, we'll talk about these offices and what they do, and we'll take a look in the second half hour a little bit more at these candidates and what they bring to the table and what they want to bring to the table. But once again, this election in this election season is just not about the statewide office, but it's about the local office. It's about you seeing and having actual input on the local level of what's happening. We've got city council. We've got treasurers. We have Department of Revenue, Commissioner of Revenue. We have school board members who are all being elected. So this is a very, very important election. And it's just not an important election, but this is an opportunity for your voice to be heard. Now, when we start to take a look at these various candidates, and we start to take a look at what is at stake or the issues that we have in these various cities, the question now becomes, what's really at stake for the community? What job does the city council actually serve for the community? What job does the treasurer actually serve for the community? What job does the Commissioner of Revenue serve for the community? Are they in charge of your taxes, personal property taxes? Do they allocate how those tax dollars are spent? What's in charge? What's at stake for the school board? Now, the school board affects everyone because every child goes through the schools. We all went through the school system to get to where we are. So the question becomes, what is really at stake for communities that, let's just say, are having challenges in their school systems? And when we talk about challenges in their school systems, we're talking about not just, hey, we need more bus drivers, but we're talking about educational challenges. We're talking about safety challenges. We're talking about being able to, ensure that there is a conducive learning environment challenges for all students, because everyone doesn't learn the same. So how far do we go? How far do we want to ensure to hold our school board members accountable? These are all really, really important issues as we start to delve into these local races. So again, let's just say we look at some major issues, or let's just say there's not a lot of major issues. Will we expect the turnout to be what it is, what we need it to be, in order to elect the person that we want for the community? Now, one great thing about this election is that we have statewide offices on this ballot. So when you go to the polls, keep in mind that you're going to see the governor, lieutenant governor candidate, attorney general candidate. You're also going to see the candidate for your district for House of Delegate, and you're going to see your city officials who are on the ballot. So in other words, the city of Norfolk is not going to see Chesapeake's city council member. They're not going to see their school board member on their ballot. They're not going to see any of that. But what they're going to see is what's for the candidates for their city. So, in understanding that is really important for us. It's important for us to really go in and delve in and to find out more about these candidates. It's really our responsibility to make sure that when we do vote, we're voting for the candidate that's the best choice for us. We got to make sure that we do that. It's imperative that we do that because your voice does count. It counts not just today. It not just counts for the presidential election, but it counts for future elections as well. Keep in mind, we're in the midst of a major voting rights shift, major voting rights change, major voting rights cases that are being decided that's limiting access, and some that are increasing access because we're in the midst of a changing power shift within our country. It also affects our local level. So that's why these local elections are so important because we have to make sure that what we're doing it for our community, and we're doing it to see our community be the best that it can be. But one thing that really intrigues me about this election, Marvin, is especially in the city of Norfolk, is the city council seat. You know, this seat is it's a major seat in the area that it actually encompasses. Super Ward 7 is an area of Norfolk that is historical. It also has its challenges. It has its economic challenges, housing security challenges, safety challenges, but it also has, again, a major position where it's located here in the city. So in looking at Super Ward 7 itself is influential and it's going to see a lot of changes. Yeah, that's the area that it's in. You know, so and it expands all around the city itself, kind of like that major corner of the city. So when we take a look at Super Ward 7, the election of this city council person is going to be tremendous because they're going to have an opportunity not to just have a voice on the city council for the entire city, but a voice for Super Ward 7 to lead the direction of its future, of its development. And it's very key that we have an individual in that seat who's not just focused on the city, but focused on the community. Focus squarely on the community and where they're, where they want to see the community go. So when we start to take a look and delve into that, that's really a fascinating race to me. Absolutely fascinating. I think to me, that is the most fascinating race that we're going to see. So I want you guys to stay tuned. We're going to go to a commercial break as we delve a little deeper into the issues for these areas here in the city of Norfolk and understand the offices. I'm Dr. Eric Claville. We'll be back in just a moment.
The Battle of the Bay returns to the football field next Saturday, and you can hear all the action right here on WNSB Hot 91.
The soul of VA.
Longtime rivals Norfolk State and Hampton meet on the gridiron for the first time since 2017. Next Saturday at HU's Armstrong Stadium. Kickoff is at 2 p.m. with the pregame at 1:30. Listen to the Spartans all season long right here on WNSB Hot 91.
The soul of VA.
Behold the green and gold.
Get ready. Coming October 4th, 5th, and 6th, Hot 91 is looking for your support. Financial support, that is. Please support our biannual membership drive. On October 4th, 5th, and 6th, we'll be asking for your tax-deductible contribution so that we can continue to bring you great programming, content, and community resources. And we can keep providing professional, hands-on student training for our future broadcasters. So, start planning your contribution now. Every donation makes a difference. Save the date, October 4th, 5th, and 6th. We are Hot 91.
This is Dr. Eric Claville, and welcome back to State of the Water. Again, we want to thank all of you for joining us here for this phenomenal Sunday. And for those of you who join us every single Sunday here on the new sound of Hot 91, the soul of VA. That's right. It's the new sound of Hot 91. Still the same WNSB, still the same great university, still the same great staff, but it's simply the new sound, the soul of VA here on Hot 91. And again, we're fortunate to be associated with the Norfolk State University, some of the strongest alumni and phenomenal institution in the Commonwealth and also across the country. And not only that, but we are excited about our new leader, the seventh president, who's been here for a couple of years, but just recently inaugurated because of the pandemic, who we are latching on to her vision because this is our time, this is our season, and this is our mission. She takes us and leads us to higher heights here in the Commonwealth and across higher education to give the very best. We're here to get the very best education and opportunities to our students. Once again, you're joining us for our election overview. Our election overview where we first delved into last week the candidates for statewide office for governor, lieutenant governor, and also attorney general. And we looked at some of the local offices, delegate seats here, because all the House of Delegates up for re-election. And we looked at some of those seats and our alums who are running for re-election, starting with House delegates. So first, starting with our phenomenal supporter here, Delegate Cliff Hayes, who's also very good baseball player while he was here. His father and so forth, phenomenal family. Definitely left their mark here in the Spartan Nation, but not just that, but is a fighter for the Spartan Nation in the House of Delegates, but also Delegate Lamont Bagby, who's also an alum and representing the Commonwealth in Richmond, and also Delegate Candy King, who is in Northern Virginia representing the Spartan Nation there. So absolutely phenomenal delegates and alums who are running for re-election and are making sure that the Spartan Nation is up front and in the legislature up there, making sure that our needs are heard. This week, we're delving into the local offices here in Hampton Roads. In delving into the local offices, we understand that all politics is local. And in doing so, with the local city council, local treasurer, local commissioner of revenue, local sheriff, local school board members, this office is very important and this election is very important because, once again, these are people that we go to school with, go to church with, worship with, go to the same grocery store. Our children play on opposing sports teams or maybe the same sports team together. All these things are very, very important because they affect our local level, right? Our everyday living. That's right. So what we're going to do, we're going to delve into the second half and take a look at some of the issues that are at stake in these various areas in that individuals are running for. And here we're going to look at the role of the various offices here in the city of Norfolk and just in general. But the city council, what is the city council? Are those individuals that meet once a week and then just go on about their business? Or are they making some very, very important decisions for what we do, right? Well, the city council is extremely important. Let me tell you how important the city council is. The city council itself is a body. It's the legislative and policymaking body for the city of Norfolk. Think about that. It's the legislative and policymaking body for the city of Norfolk. It is also the final authority on city matters. That is huge, right? So just as if we would go to the state house, they're making decisions both in the House and the Senate. Governor signs it and it goes into law. Here, we only have one body, and that's the city council. And within the city council, they make the policy for the city. They make the legislation for the city. And also is the final authority and final arbiter of these matters of the city. The council also establishes general city policies. What are those policies that they establish? They appoint the city manager, and we're going to get to how important that is in just a moment. They also appoint the city auditor. They also appoint the city attorney. They appoint the city assessor, and they appoint the city clerk and members of boards, committees, commissions. They enact ordinances, resolutions, orders, approve strategic plan, annual budget, and authorize contracts on the city's behalf. Marvin's laughing because he's like, that's a lot. That is a lot. So when we elect city council members, we're just not electing people just to come up and have a seat and have a good time. We're electing individuals along with the mayor. So we have 7 city council members, and we also have the mayor, Mayor Kenny Alexander, who is a phenomenal supporter of Norfolk State University. Absolutely phenomenal supporter. And can't say, just as a personal opinion, I can't say more too much about what he does. I mean, he just supports us tremendously, and the city is a great partner with the institution, and they're going to be a greater partner with the institution itself because it's the only university that holds the name of the city. The city of Norfolk is where the Norfolk State University is located. So it's a perfect match. But we'll get into that later. But again, I just wanted to talk about how our mayor is a huge supporter of us here. But what we're talking about, again, the city council, we have 7 city council members. And of those city council members, these individuals help to support not just what we're doing, but they lead us. They lead us in what we're doing. And that is absolutely huge. Now, there's one area, and I'll say this to kind of give a plug to what we're kind of looking at and how you can be more of a player or have more of a voice in city government. You can serve on a board, serve on boards and commission. That's right. By serving on the boards and commission, you can actually be a part of the city, be a part of the governing making mechanism. So in doing that, that's what we're looking for. We're looking for you to be more involved. So in Super Ward 7, it's an area, like I said, that's very important. It's an area that's very important. Every area is very important to the city. But it's a very, very important area here in this particular city because it's going to start leading. It's going to start the city council person is going to help to lead the transformation of that area. So that is huge. That is huge. And again, we have the Honorable Danica Warshaw, who is a graduate of ODU University. I think I said Norfolk State earlier, but ODU. Well, maybe she'll get her master's from here. But it was a graduate of ODU, and that's currently holding the seat. But she's going to have to run. She's running for re-election, and we want to take a look at their platform. Now, I had the pleasure of actually facilitating and moderating a debate. Actually, it was a forum. Or I'll call it a debate, but we actually had a phenomenal opportunity to moderate a forum for the candidates who are running for statewide office. Running for local office here. And in that forum, which was held on last week, and I was fortunate enough to host it for the brothers of Alpha Phi Alpha Fraternity, Alpha Phi Lambda Chapter, and also who are at Norfolk Alphas, and also the Sisters of Alpha Kappa Alpha Sorority Incorporated, the Norfolk AKAs in the area. And you can go to their Facebook page. You can go to the Facebook page of Alpha Phi Alpha Fraternity here in Norfolk, and you can go to that forum, and it's right there on their page. I had the opportunity of last week to moderate all of these candidates that we're talking about now. And colleague Anita Blanton had an opportunity to moderate the statewide offices for just this past Saturday. So you can go to those forums. You can take a look at it and hear more about what their platform is. It was a great discussion that we had. Of course, we do expect that forums, and especially running for office, to you have different opposing sides and viewpoints, and that's exactly what we did. We saw those different viewpoints that each candidate had, and it was a great time. It was a phenomenal time. So you can definitely go to it, take a look at it. Again, you can go to the Facebook page for, again, the Alphas at the Norfolk Alphas, and which is the Alpha Phi Lambda chapter here in Norfolk, and you can view both of those forums and delve a little deeper into it. As a matter of fact, in talking with them, we found that the forum itself last week had that. It was only one day, from Saturday to Sunday, had already reached over 1,000 views and so forth. So take a look at it, go to it. You can learn more about those candidates. But also here on State of the Water, we're going to have these candidates on State of the Water as we do our election series. So we have candidates for statewide office who are going to be on the show, just as we've done for the primary. We found that it's a phenomenal place to have these different discussions. You enjoyed it. They were able to give their information to the constituents and the stakeholders here at Norfolk State University and those that listen to Hot 91 WNSB. And it was really just a phenomenal time to really ask some really difficult questions, get some real tough answers, right? I mean, so these are the things that we want, that we bring here on State of the Water, and we're going to continue to do so. So we're going to have those individuals here during our election season, as we have our candidates who are coming on. So we're going to delve into it just a little bit more, okay? But again, the city council is extremely important. And when understanding what the city council does, that gives us a better idea to understand exactly what we need in the candidates. Now, of course, there are some of these offices that are running unopposed, but I want to make sure that we understand the importance of these offices and the importance of what they do. So the office or the role of the Attorney General, let's take a look at the Attorney General. I mean, not the Attorney General, but the Commonwealth's Attorney. Commonwealth's Attorney here in the city of Norfolk and across the Commonwealth, the role of them is the primary duty of each Commonwealth Attorney is to prosecute all felonies and misdemeanors charged under the Code of Virginia occurring in his or her locality. In other states, this position is also what's called the DA, or district attorney, or in other states is actually called the state's attorney. So this particular position is really dealing with not so much not enforcing the law. That's the sheriff's office. All right, that's the sheriffs and the police, and the sheriff, of course. We'll talk about the sheriff's office and how their role also is the administration of the prisons and so forth in this particular area. But they also provide legal counsel. All right, the Commonwealth's attorney represents Virginians in court. They do not provide legal counsel to the state government. All right, that's the role of the Attorney General, who's elected by the people. But the Commonwealth's attorney does not provide individual citizens with legal counsel either. Their role is to represent you, victims of various crimes, by doing the work of the Commonwealth to administer justice. All right? One other thing that's very important with the Commonwealth's attorney, outside of being a prosecutor, they're also required by state law to perform a number of civil functions. And we've had discussions with candidate, currently attorney in the Commonwealth Attorney's Office, Attorney Fadahi, about can the state's attorney recognize both systemic issues of systemic reform or the need for, but at the same time provide accountability for crimes that are committed in the community. Some would say, oh, we need harsher sentences and more police because we have harsher crimes, but then we should be able to overlook some of the injustices and overlook some of the civil rights issues, right? Well, you can actually do both. That's a false narrative. And if we do provide, more civil rights for individuals, then we can't really administer the law the way that we should. We can't protect and serve. And it's actually a false narrative. You can do both. We both need accountability, and Marvin and I were talking about this, and we'll delve into it a bit more later on. But we were talking about, basically not just systemic reform and police reform, but we also need community reform. You can have both. You can have both. But what do you think we need here in the city? We talked about the office of city council. We talked about the role of the state's attorney, the Commonwealth's attorney here in the state. What do you think? 757-823-9110, 757-823-9110. Let us know from your viewpoint. What's needed here in Southampton Roads? What do you believe we should have as it relates to accountability, as it relates to the individuals who are here running for elected office? What do you think? Not only that, but if you don't want to give us a call, go to our social media at WNSBonline.org. That's at WNSBonline.org. You can go there and you can go to our Twitter, our Instagram, our Facebook. Let us know what you think. Send us a message. Your voice matters. Again, your voice matters in what we're doing here, not just on this show, but what we're also doing here in the Commonwealth. Without you, there is no we the people. There is no we the people. So we know what the role of our city council is, which is expansive, by the way. That is huge. That's a lot what they do. Now we want to take a look at, we know the primary role of the Commonwealth's attorney to prosecute and other civil functions. So let's take a look at some of the duties of the sheriff. Here in the Commonwealth of Virginia, the primary responsibilities of the sheriff is the chief law enforcement officer of the county. So number one is arresting offenders. Number two, conducting criminal investigation. Number three, providing courthouse and courtrooms authority. Also providing general law enforcement protection and serving criminal and civil warrants. But also keep in mind that they just don't have the city jurisdiction, but they have the county jurisdiction. And these individuals are also responsible. They're responsible for the jails as well. When individuals are arrested, they end up going to these holding facilities, these jails. They're responsible for that. But outside of being responsible for that, they're also responsible for, in part, the continual training and ensuring that the officers, the sheriffs themselves, are trained about the issues that are happening today, that they understand what they're dealing with in their communities, that they understand, really what's at stake. So again, we've got a sheriff here in the city of Norfolk that's been sheriff for a while, and how he handles constituent complaints and constituent concerns. He gives out his personal cell phone number, and that's something that he's done for a while. So again, when we start to take a look at what we need and who we need here in the Commonwealth, that we need in our city, right? We have to take a look at the job that they've been doing. And is that the individual that we want to continue to do their job? So with that being the case, we also want to take a look at the duties of the Commissioner of Revenue. Now, a lot of times people believe, oh, you're the Commissioner of Revenue, so you're in charge of taking my money. You're in charge of spending my tax dollars. You're in charge of this. Well, the Commissioner of Revenue duties include, Number one, to enforce compliance with state and local tax laws. In addition, they assess all local taxes except real estate taxes, right? Except for real estate taxes. They also assist taxpayers in filing state and local tax returns, receive and audit state and local returns. They advocate amendment of unjust state and local tax. And they also assist the Department of Motor Vehicle customers with vehicle-related issues, such as they discover and enroll all persons and property for state and local taxation. So you pay your personal property tax when you start to for your tax assessment of all other things. That's what the Commissioner of Revenue does. They are not responsible for spending your tax dollars. But that is in a very, very important position. And when we understand the importance of that position, now we could, again, start to make a better decision on who we want in that office, who should be in that office. Now, let's take a look at the treasurer. So we got the Commissioner of Revenue, who is responsible for assessment, and we have the treasurer. Now, what does the actual treasurer do? What's the role of the treasurer? What's the role of the treasurer more specifically in the city of Norfolk? So the treasurer has the legal authority and duties and responsibilities that are given to them, of course, by the state. But their goal is to provide an efficient professional approach in serving citizens, maintaining attitude of respect and understanding, but at the same time, ensuring that the dollars that are collected are allocated properly. So encompass all activities related to the receipt and collections of revenue, safekeeping and investment of revenue, and accurate accounting and disbursement of revenue. Okay? Once again, their duties encompass all activities related to the receipt and collection of revenue, the safekeeping and investment of revenue, and an accurate account for the disbursement of that revenue. They also, not just responsible for collection and custody, but also management of all money belonging to the city government. That's huge. So the treasurer now is the manager. So the city council is the authority. They are the authority for all laws and legislation, policymaking, final authority on all city matters, and they appoint the city manager, auditor, attorney, city attorney, and the like. Now, when they vote on the budget, the treasurer is tasked with managing the revenues that come into the city. The Commissioner of Revenue is responsible for assessing all taxes except for real estate taxes. And then the sheriff, the Commonwealth's attorney, is responsible for prosecuting crimes, and the sheriff's office is responsible for enforcing the law and providing security in the courthouse where the Commonwealth's attorney is. And then finally, the school board. The school board is charged with setting policies to assure the proper administration and education programs in the public schools. Not just here in the city of Norfolk, but all public schools across the Commonwealth. Each local school board is responsible for that. It also provides hiring and staff administration, carry out policies, and improve the budget that's necessary to implement that. Setting policies, hiring, and approving the budget. As I stated before, all of us are a product of a school system, whether it be the city of Norfolk school system, Virginia Beach, Suffolk, Chesapeake, Hampton, Newport News, Williamsburg. I know I'm forgetting one. I mentioned Suffolk earlier. Portsmouth. All those in Portsmouth, please forgive me. And that's a special race that's in that area too. But all of us are products of a school system. So when we elect members to the school board, that is a very, very important job to do. So we understand what the city council does. We understand what the treasurer does. Commissioner of Revenue does. The Commonwealth's attorney does. The sheriff does. And also the school board members. And to find out what these candidates believe, what their stance is, once again, you can go to a forum that I moderated on behalf of Alpha Phi Alpha Fraternity, Alpha Phi Lambda Chapter at Norfolk Alphas. That's at Norfolk Alphas. Go to their Facebook page in conjunction with the Alpha Kappa Alpha, AKA's sorority incorporated here in the city of Norfolk. You can go to the Facebook page for APHIA at Norfolk Alphas and see every candidate that we just talked about on this show. We engaged them in a 2-hour forum where they talked about their issues, and we asked some pretty tough questions on things that are affecting us today. Not only that, but make sure your voice is heard. We can go to the Department of Virginia elections. November 2nd is the day that we will elect our new governor. We would elect our new attorney general. We will elect our new lieutenant governor. And by the way, history will be made with lieutenant governor. We will have a woman and also a woman of color elected as lieutenant governor. No matter who wins, that's history in the making. We also will re-elect our House delegates in every district, House delegate district here in the Commonwealth, all 100. And also every local office that I just talked about here in Southampton Roads and others on the peninsula and all over the Commonwealth. November 2nd, you can go and vote at your voting polls or the voter registrar's office. But don't wait then. Vote now. Vote now. Early voting has started as of September 17th. Go to the polls. Go vote. Make sure that you go in and cast your ballot. Monday through Friday, they're open at your local voter registration's office. Or if you can't do that, wait till Saturday, October 23rd or October 30th. You can go in on Saturday and vote for that slate of candidates on the ballot. And let's just say you can't go in. You want to get your mail-in ballot, you can request a mail-in ballot all the way up to October 22nd and mail it in. And not only that, but you can also, and I encourage this, make sure that you not just vote, but tell your friends, tell your families, tell all those that are out there, say, hey, let's go to the polls together. Let's go vote together. Have a discussion about who you're going to vote for. That's right, Marvin. Make it an event. We make everything else an event, right? So if we make this an event, it'll definitely be an event that we have our voice in. We have an event that it matters to us because it's your community. No one else should be able to dictate your community but you. You live there. You work there. You raise your children there. You pay your taxes there. That's where you make your memories, and that's where you make your mark. It's your city. It's your community. It's your Commonwealth. Make sure that your voice is heard. Well, speaking of hearing, you hear the music in the background. That means we've reached the end of yet another Stay of the Water. We've enjoyed being with you here to discuss the election overview part 2, candidates in the local area and issues and understanding the magnitude of the offices in which these individuals are going to serve. But guess what? You can go to our YouTube channel and listen to it again, and make sure you join us once again every Sunday at 1 o'clock here on WNSB. That's right, the new sound of Hot 91, the Soul of VA. I'm Dr. Eric Claville. We'll see you next week. God bless.